Hey everyone, welcome back to our cat and mouse game. This is part 2, and this is Ken Adelglass with you. And let's get this rolling here. Let's actually review where we are. Right now, if I hit the play button, oops. Well, one thing we did last time is we made both characters hide when they collided, and if you notice right now, I can't get them back. And what we need to do, whenever that happens, whenever you can't seem to find a character or a sprite on your screen, that's usually a sign that you hid them and you never show them. So you could simply go to looks and click on your cat. If it's not already clicked on here, I could hit show, and there you could see he's back, and I could click on my mouse, and I could also just double click show right here. So that's another way you could bring things back without actually putting them inside one of the script blocks, is you could just double click any block and that block will run. So in this case I double click show, and you can see they're both running right now and they're both back in action. But there's a better way to do that. So when the game ends and they're hidden, you want to make sure they show in the beginning. And so the easiest way to do that, we're on our mouse right now, let's just grab that show and we're going to put it up here right at the top, right where we do our setup. If you remember, I always tell you, you put the flag, then you have some setup code. In this case, it's the show, point and direction, and the go to. And then finally, the actual, what I like to call the game loop, or where you say throughout my game, okay? You put that forever loop and everything goes in the forever loop. So right in the setup, put show, and we're gonna need to do the same thing for the cat if we want the cat to show up at the end of the game as well. So let's click on the cat and let's put show right up here, right in the beginning in the setup. We could have put it here too. It's really a preference thing. Since we were putting all our setup items here, it pays to keep it all in one place. Okay, so let's try it now, and if we hit play, you'll see that when the cat hits my mouse, they'll disappear, and then when I hit stop and play again, they start, and you notice they will start from the same place as well. Now, we just have them disappearing when they're hit, but let's make that a little more interesting. Let's make it so they will collide, and when they collide, we want some kind of special effect. Okay, so we can have our mouse, let's say, spinning around and shrinking. So let's do that special effect. So you'll notice right here in our mouse, let's go to our mouse, and we say when I receive caught mouse, hide. Okay, so again I click back over to my mouse. So when I receive caught mouse, that means the mouse got hit by the cat. Let's just review that. Let's go back to the cat here, and you'll notice it says if I'm touching the mouse, then hide, and then broadcast. So we could do something else here. So we're going to the mouse, and instead of the mouse just hiding, let's put this aside for a second. Let's add a repeat loop, a repeat block, and let's change it to 20, and let's go to motion, and let's have him turn a number of times. We'll have him spin around, okay, and then we'll have him hide. Let's see what that looks like. So we're gonna hit stop and play, and now notice when he gets hit, he spins around. Notice he spun around pretty slowly. So we probably want to spin that around, and you notice that he didn't spin around that much. It was kind of hard to see, so we want to bring that 20 to a 60, and maybe degrees wise, let's try 60. Maybe he'll spin faster. Let's try that. So let's hit the flag, and let's just purposely try to get hit by the cat, and you see he spins around. That's a little better, and you could play with those numbers to get it to exactly the way you want. I'm gonna do I'll do 50, and 60 is fine here. So let's try it one more time. He hits the cat, spins around, and disappears. Okay, so next what we want to do also, I want to make him shrink. I thought it'd be cool to have him spin and shrink, and to do that I can simply go over here to looks, and I can change his size. So let me grab this out, and I'm going to put that in my loop also. Now I'm going to change his size. Right now my mouse is at 65%. How I know this is this set size block to 65 actually shows me his current size. I think that's the only way you can figure that out. Yes, it is. So I know he's at 65%, okay? So I can shrink him by dropping him, let's say, well, 13 times 5 is 65. So if I change the size, well, I'm repeating 50 times. So, well, I don't have to do it exactly. So I can just simply say -2, and that should shrink him pretty much down to nothing. And I could even do -1. That should be plenty. Let's see what happens now. I'm going to hit play. It's going to hit, and you'll see he's going to spin and kind of shrink into nothing. Now, something bad happens here when I hit the flag. You'll see the mouse comes back as a little tiny mouse. So I need to do something about that. I need to have him readjust back to that 65% at the beginning. So what I'm going to do is grab out this set size. Right now he's at 15%. So how do I fix that? Because he looped 50 times, and that makes sense. He looped 50 times and then he hid. So if he was at 65 and he lost his size by 1% each time, he'd be left with 15. So it makes perfect sense. I'm going to just reset the size. That's why I made a note of his size at 65. Let's just do that, 65%. And now you'll notice he's back to his original size. You can play the game again, and he spins and vanishes. So that is one way to do the special effect. Another thing we can do too is we could have the cheesy puffs, when he gets killed, kind of like taunt the mouse a little bit. Rather than them just sitting there, we could have the cheesy puffs disappear too. So let's code that in. So we'll have the cheesy puffs. I'm going to make them grow and shrink simultaneously. So I'm going to click on my cheesy puffs. Now notice the cheesy puffs don't have any code yet, and we still haven't put in any code to win our game. So what we're going to do is go over to our cheesy puffs, and we're going to grab out a when flag is clicked, and we're going to click on control. Actually, we're not going to grab a when flag is clicked. Let's put that back. We're going to say when we receive caught mouse, we're just going to do a couple things. Okay, and we're going to do it once. We're not going to do it throughout our game, so we don't need a forever on this loop. So when we receive caught mouse, what we want to do is go to control and grab out a repeat 10, and we're going to grab out 2 of them. One's going to make it grow, and one repeat's going to make it shrink. And we're going to go back to looks, and remember our initial size of our cheesy puffs is 85. Okay, keep that in mind. So mine's 85. So I'm going to change size by, let's say, 2, and I'm going to make this 20, and I'm going to make this 20, and and here's a way to duplicate. If you right click on change size by 2 and hit duplicate, I'm just going to drop that right in there, and I'm going to put a -2. So watch what happens now when the mouse gets caught. Another little effect. Watch the cheesy puffs, and you'll see that grows and shrinks. Okay, to end the game. And we could also hide the cheesy puffs, just like that. But of course, if we hide it, it will need to reappear again. Notice if I start the game now and run this code, cheesy puffs will grow, shrink, and disappear. However, when I hit play again, there's no goal to get to. The cheesy puffs are gone. So we need to go to events, when flag is clicked, and we're going to go to looks, and then grab out the show and drop show in here. So now this should bring it back. There we go. Okay, now there's another problem. Okay, you will see that when the mouse gets hit by the cat, the mouse could still kind of slide up there and capture the cheesy puffs. Everyone see that? Let's do that one more time. Say he could slide up. So we have to prevent the mouse from sliding up there. He's still, we're still able to actually move him because we never said stop moving him. So how can we stop moving the mouse? And that's a really good question. So when the mouse is caught and he does this spinning, okay, we need him to stop. So the first thing we need him to do is sort of stop enabling our arrow keys to enable him to move. Sort of have to disable him. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is go to control, and you'll see down here a stop all. Now stop all will stop every script from running. It's basically a way, it's the same way you can, same thing that happens when you hit this red stop button. But we don't want to stop the whole game. We just want to stop this script. So the way we do that is we can drag this stop all right under the when I caught mouse. But you notice it won't stop in there because stop all has to come at the end. If you stop everything, it'll come at the end. Now watch what happens when I hit the drop down. You'll see there's two other choices besides all. There's this script. No matter what script you're in, it'll stop that script. But the one I'm most interested in is this one, other scripts in the sprite. Now, since there's only one other script in the sprite, which is the one for moving, it'll stop this one, even if I put it in this script. Pretty handy. Also notice now that I'm able to place it here, unlike when it said stop all. So now it could stop this script. And let's see if that solves my problem. So if I come up and get hit by the cat, and I try to keep moving, now I'm holding my finger down on the up arrow, and you'll see I can't move any higher. Oop. And I'm trying to move up here, and I can't. I stay in one place because now my up arrow and down arrow script, this forever loop, is no longer looping because of this block of code saying stop the other scripts. So now everything's disappeared. If I hit stop and play again, everything nicely reappears, and we're back in business. So now we have one thing to do that's left, and the final thing is to win the game. So if we avoid the cat and win the game, all we need to do here is have another collision. So let's go back to our mouse. Now we could use the mouse. We could also use the cheesy puffs. If you remember, we put the collision in the cat colliding with the mouse. What if later on in the game, and this is where planning comes in, if you plan to maybe capture the cheesy puffs and then back at the bottom of the screen have another reward that he has to get back to, or you might have a game where he constantly, once he gets to a prize, there's going to be another prize appearing and he has to constantly avoid these cats, or in this case cat. We're going to add some cats later, but you always have to plan for the future. So, and what I like to do is say what the relationship is. Is it many to one? Is it 1 to 1? Or is it many to many? In this particular case, we're always going to have one mouse in our game. We only have one hero. We might have multiple villains, which would be our cat, and we could also have multiple prizes. So I like to say when I have something that could turn into many different prizes, I like to put the code in the many, not in the one. Okay? And this is clear. If you try coding it the other way, you'll see why that's clear. But this way, I know I'm only going after one specific mouse. I'm not going to have 5 mice. I only have one hero in the game. But if I wanted to add cheesy puffs later, I could just duplicate this code and I'm still going after the same one mouse. Okay? It almost pays to do it the opposite way to prove my point, but to make this game simple. So we're going to go and do this from the point of the cheesy puffs. So we're going to click here and we're going to say events when flag is clicked. Then we're going to go to control and let's grab out that forever loop again, and let's grab out an if, also in control, and then let's go to sensing because we need to sense if the cheesy puffs are being touched by the mouse or vice versa. So we're going to drop in touching. We're going to change this to mouse, and basically when we get the cheesy puffs, for now we're just going to say one game, but we're going to add to this later. So I'm going to come over here in the if statement, and I'm going to just have the mouse, we're going to have the cheesy puffs disappear, so we could hide the cheesy puffs. So we're going to go to looks and we're going to hide them. And then we're going to make a broadcast once again. We're going to broadcast to the mouse because I want to broadcast and have the mouse say, you win. Okay? So let's do that. So let's go here to events and let's create a new broadcast. Now notice broadcast still says caught mouse. That doesn't really matter. We just want this broadcast. We're going to change caught mouse. It's no longer caught mouse. This one's going to be one game, that we won the game. So I'm going to hit the drop down here and hit new message, and I'm going to write 1 game, just like that. And that's all I need to do here. Okay, so if I'm touching the mouse, again, we're in Cheesy Puff, so the Cheesy Puffs are going to hide, and then I'm going to broadcast that the game is won. Okay, and when we do that, our cat, we're going to go back to our mouse, I'm sorry, and we're going to grab out another when I receive caught mouse, but we're going to change that to one game. And then finally, let's just go over here and say you won. And that's the say block, and I'm going to say it for just a few seconds. I'll increase that to maybe 5 seconds so it's visible. Okay, and then we could stop the whole game. So we could go to control and we can do stop all. Okay, and if you want to, you could also have the cat disappear as well, and you could have game over, you win pop up. And we're going to do that in our next lesson. So we're going to keep adding to this and make this a much more interesting game, and we're also going to add to the cats. So for now, let's try our game, and I'm going to try to avoid that cat. When I get up there, it disappears, Cheesy Puff disappear, and it says you won, and then after a few seconds it stops. And that's where I'm going to stop for now. And next time what we're going to do is we're going to add a game over, and we're going to make our game more challenging because we're going to add more cats. So until then, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you practice, and hope you enjoyed this Scratch lesson. Have a great day or night. Bye.